Hello learners, I am Sudeshna Chaudhary, Assistant Professor of Philosophy at Icon Commerce College. Under the course of Social and Political Philosophy, I am discussing the unit 12, which is Socialism. In our last class, we had a detailed discussion on what socialism is and what is the nature of socialism. So today, we are going to discuss the different kinds of socialism. So, kinds of socialism. The Communist Manifesto provides a clear and practical classification of socialism, categorizing it into three types, which are feudalistic socialism, bourgeois socialism, and utopian socialism. Before the Industrial Revolution, feudal lords and aristocrats, they collectively formed the dominant social class. And with the rise of industrialization, the bourgeois gained power, pushing the aristocracy into a weaker position. In an attempt to fight back, they opposed the bourgeois rule and tried to win over workers and peasants by portraying the new ruling class as exploiters. To express their frustration, they wrote sarcastical pieces mocking the bourgeois and warned that their dominance would eventually collapse. And this movement became known as the feudalistic socialism. The feudalists, they criticized the capitalists for being exploitative, but overlooked the fact that they had also exploited people in the past. To spread their message, the aristocrats, they encouraged the intellectuals to write pamphlets highlighting the injustice of the bourgeois rule. The second type of socialism is petty bourgeois socialism. And this comes from the petty bourgeois, that is a class that exists between the working class, which is the proletariat class, and the capitalist class, which is the bourgeois class, and remains a secondary part of bourgeois society. So, this petty bourgeois socialism, it comes between the bourgeois and the proletariat class. The members of this class have critically analyzed capitalism, pointing out its contradictions and blaming it for many social problems. They argue that capitalism has led to widespread suffering by introducing machinery and divided labor, which, in their view, have worsened the conditions for the workers. The petty bourgeois socialists, they highlight the issues such as workers' exploitation, economic instability, wealth inequality, industrial conflicts between nations, and the breakdown of traditional family structures. However, despite their criticisms, their solution is to return to older methods of production and reinstate traditional property relations rather than seeking a truly revolutionary change. Now, in France, a distinct form of socialist thought emerged. The German philosophers, they later adopted the core ideas of French socialism and adapted them to fit Germany's context. However, since the social and political conditions in the two countries were different, these ideas underwent significant changes. German socialists called for political action to achieve socialist goals, such as ending government repression, abolishing unfair bourgeois laws, promoting liberty and equality, and protecting press freedom. Now, despite these efforts, they ultimately failed to truly represent the interest of the working class, that is the proletariat class. After this, we will discuss there are actually different types of socialism. Different means you can say there are 8 different types of socialism, okay, and each with its own approach, and each of them with its own approach try to transform capitalism into a socialist system. And these variations also focus on different key aspects of socialism. Now, the main branches according to socialism by branch are as follows. That is discussed here. There are 8 branches as given by this socialism of branches, so which we are going to discuss now. The first among them is the democratic socialism. Now, what is democratic socialism? Democratic socialism is a system where working people collectively manage the means of production by ensuring that the industries and resources serve the common good rather than the private profit. So basically, they try to ensure that the industries and resources they serve the common goods rather than they make any private profit. So in this system, a democratically elected government plays a key role, or you can say an important role in decision making, ensuring that economic and social policies reflect the will of the people. So it is also called democratic socialism, as here in this system a democratically elected government plays an important role and the decision is reflected on the will of the people, not the will of the government. Now, under democratic socialism, essential services and public goods, such as which includes, you can say, transportation, housing and energy, they are centrally planned and provided by the government to ensure equal access for all citizens. This helps to prevent inequalities that often arise when these resources are controlled by the private companies. At the same time, consumer goods such as, you can say, clothing, electronics and personal items, they all are distributed through a free market, allowing business to operate competitively, okay, so that all of them could participate in that market, in that free market, while still being regulated to prevent exploitation. But exploitation is being prevented here. Though it operates competitively, it tries to prevent or regulate exploitation. Now, this balance between government planning and market freedom ensures economic stability, social justice, and equal opportunity for all. Now, the second is revolutionary socialism. Now, revolutionary socialism is based on the belief that socialism can only come into existence after capitalism has been completely dismantled or abolished. Okay, so capitalism need to be completely abolished so that revolutionary socialism come into existence. Now, supporters of this ideology argue that a peaceful transition from capitalism to socialism is not possible. Why? As the ruling capitalist class will never willingly give up its power and control over wealth and resources. Once you have a maximum of wealth and resources, why you will give it to others? Okay, so it is very difficult that the ruling capitalist class, they convert themselves into, or they distribute their power, their wealth to others. Okay, So it is very difficult that the capitalists, they transfer themselves to the socialism or socialist class. So instead, they believe that significant social, political and economic changes must be brought about through a revolutionary movement led by the working class. So bring this capitalist class, or to convert it, or to transform this capitalist class to socialism peacefully, they decided to go through it or bring about a revolutionary movement which will be led by the working class. So this is revolutionary socialism. Now, in our revolutionary socialist system, the factors of production such as like land, factories and industries, they are collectively owned and controlled by the workers rather than by private individuals or corporations. Now, instead of opening under a profit-driven market system, the economy is managed through central planning, where the resources, production and the distribution are organized to meet the needs of all people rather than to generate profit for a few. So here the resources, production, all these are planned so that they can fulfill or meet the needs of the people, of the common people, rather generating profit for the capitalist. And this form of socialism, that is revolutionary socialism, seeks to eliminate class divisions and create an economy where wealth and resources are distributed fairly and equally, ensuring that no one is exploited for labor, while a small group benefits from their work. So revolutionary socialists view this transformation as necessary to create a just and equal society. Now the third is libertarian socialism. This libertarian socialism is based on the belief that people are naturally rational, independent, and capable of making their own decisions about their lives and communities. It challenges the idea that a powerful government or ruling class is necessary to maintain order. Instead, libertarian socialists, they argue that once the restrictions and inequalities created by capitalism are being removed, people will naturally work together to create a more cooperative and just society. In this system, economic, political, and social hierarchies, such as those seen in the corporate structures, government, bureaucracies, and class divisions, would be eliminated. People would collectively manage resources and make decisions without the need for any oppressive institutions. The idea behind this is that individuals, when given freedom, will recognize that a fair and cooperative society benefits everyone, including themselves. So rather than relying on centralized control or a strong government, the libertarian socialism, they envisions small, self-governing communities where people voluntarily participate in decision making and resource distribution. This ensures that power remains with the people rather than concentrated in the hands of a few. Now the fourth type is market socialism. Now market socialism is an economic system where the means of production, such as or which includes factories, business and industries, are owned and managed collectively by workers rather than private individuals or corporations. In this system, workers, have direct control over how goods and services are produced, as well as how the profits or benefits are being distributed among themselves. Now, instead of a single owner, or you can say group of investors making decisions, workers in a company or industry, they collaboratively decide how to allocate resources and share the earnings. They may choose to reinvest in their business or distribute profits equally or provide additional benefits like healthcare and education. Any surplus goods or services that are produced beyond what the workers need can be sold in the free market, allowing for competition and economic growth. In some models of market socialism, instead of selling surplus goods directly, they are handed over to society, such as the government or community organizations, which then distributes them based on free market principles. So, this system seeks to combine worker empowerment with the efficiency of market competition, ensuring that profit benefits the people who create them rather than private owners or the capitalist. The fifth form is green socialism. Now, what is green socialism? Green socialism is a form of socialism that prioritizes environmental sustainability while ensuring economic and social justice. It mainly focuses on protecting natural resources and reducing environmental harm by promoting eco-friendly policies and responsible economic practices. A key feature of green socialism is the public ownership of large corporations, especially those involved in industries that impact the environment, such as energy, transportation, and manufacturing. By placing these industries under public control, green socialism, it aims to prevent profit-driven exploitation of natural resources and ensure that economic activities align with sustainability goals. Additionally, this system places strong emphasis on public transportation and locally sourced food. Expanding and improving public transit system reduces reliance on private vehicles, leading to lower carbon emission and less environmental degradation. This socialism encourages local food production. Okay, so they encourage the local food production and supports the small farmers. Okay, and reduces the transportation related pollution. Okay, by encouraging the small farmers to produce local food, they try to reduce the transportation related pollution and ensures access to fresh, healthy food for communities. And unlike the capitalist economics that prioritizes endless consumption, okay, the capitalist economics, they prioritize what? The endless consumption. So unlike them, green socialism, they shifts the focus on production towards meeting basic human needs. Okay, they focus mainly on meeting the basic human needs rather than producing excessive consumer goods that contribute to waste and environmental damage. So the goal of this socialism is to ensure that everyone has enough essential resources, which includes food, housing, healthcare, and education, rather than fueling an economy driven by unnecessary materialism. Also, to further promote social and economic well-being, green socialism, they guarantees a livable wage for all and ensures that every individual can afford a decent standard of living while contributing to a sustainable and fair society. The sixth one is Christian socialism. Now, what Christian socialism is? So, Christian socialism is based on the idea that the core values of Christian teachings, which includes brotherhood, compassion, and social justice, align with the principles of socialism. It emphasizes the moral responsibility of individuals and society to care for the less fortunate, promote economic equality, and ensure that resources are shared fairly among all people. Christian socialists believe that capitalism encourages greed and selfishness, and this contradicts the ethical teachings of Christianity. Instead of this capitalist form, which encourages greed and selfishness, so the Christian socialism, they advocate for a system where corporation, fairness, and community welfare are taken as priority over profit making. Okay, because within capitalism the main aim was to make profit. So this where it gives rise to selfishness, greed, all these things. So the Christian socialism, they try to advocate a system, or they advocated a system where corporation, fairness, and community of the welfare took a priority. For them it was prior than profit making. The seventh form is the utopian socialism. The utopian socialism emerged in the early 19th century before the rise of industrialization. And this form of socialism was more of a visionary ideal than a structured political movement. Utopian socialism was based on the belief that society could achieve complete equality and harmony through peaceful means only. And instead of promoting revolution or government intervention, these utopian socialists, they proposed creating small experimental communities where people would live and work together cooperatively, sharing resources and responsibilities. These communities were designed to demonstrate a fair and just society in practice. And this was so, they hoped that every people, or hoping that others would follow their example. Okay, but however, many of these experiments, they failed due to practical challenges, and the movement eventually declined. This utopian socialism was eventually declined because they could not fulfill, or their experiments failed due to certain practical challenges. Their purpose of creating a small experimental community where people would live and work together cooperatively, sharing resources and responsibility, could not become a reality. Okay? And the last one is Fabian socialism. This Fabian socialism was a British socialist movement that gained popularity in the late 19th and early 20th century. Unlike revolutionary socialist movements that sought rapid change through uprisings, these Fabian socialists, they believe in a gradual transition to socialism. They argued that change should come through legal reforms, democratic elections, and policy making, rather than any form of violent revolutionary. The Fabian Society was founded in 1884, and it played a key role, or an important role, in shaping the socialist policies in Britain and influencing the Labour Party. So, in influencing the Labour Party and shaping the socialist policies in Britain, this Fabian socialism played an important role. Their strategy was to introduce socialism slowly, step by step, through education, legislation, and social reforms, which which they thought would ensure a smooth transition without disrupting the society. So, socialism as a broad and evolving ideology has taken various forms throughout history, each shaped by specific socio-economic conditions and philosophical perspectives. From the early feudalist and petty bourgeois socialism, which emerged in response to class struggles during industrialization, to the later French and German socialist movements, which attempted to address political and economic inequalities, socialism has continuously adapted to changing times. The 8 major branches of socialism highlights the diverse approaches to achieve a more equitable society. Like democratic socialism, they seeks to balance government control and market freedom, while revolutionary socialism, they argues that capitalism must be completely dismantled for socialism to emerge. Then libertarian socialism and market socialism, they advocate for worker ownership and self-management, while green socialism, they prioritizes environmental sustainability. Again, Christian socialism, they aligns socialist values with the religious teachings of Christianity, and the utopian and Fabian socialism, they propose gradual, peaceful transformation. So, despite their differences, all socialist ideologies share a common goal. What is that common goal? To create a society that promotes economic fairness, reduces exploitation, and ensures that resources are distributed for the well-being of all. Whether through revolution, democratic reforms, or community-based initiatives, socialism remains a significant force in political and economic thought, continuously influencing modern debates on justice, equality, and social progress. That's all for today. Thank you.